What are you committed to? When you strip everything away, what is left? What does it mean to really be on each other's team? So if someone's not pulling their weight on the spaceship, what do? You say, hey,
you call them out.
We need you here. This matters, right? You are the best at tricking yourself. Nobody knows you better than you. This is the spiritual ego, the spiritual shadow. It's really sneaky. Who are you? I don't even know who you are, who you people are. You're my family. I've been with you my whole life. I don't know who you are. Mm-hmm. That's what I call making a huge mess. If this podcast got out to every person in the whole world and it landed somehow in every person, that would be amazing. That's the future that I want. And we need technology to do that.
Yeah, exactly. A conscious use of technology.
Okay, so I was talking to one of the men that we have this men's group and we've been going at this for over a year now. And another man from the group he's really been struggling to be in the group and to come along this journey of, feeling and addressing feelings and he had just decided he was going to leave the group. And my initial thing reaction was just oh great, this is the part of me that I call my gremlin, like the part of me that just wants to make everything easy and that loves being comfortable, right?
You felt like because you already felt a little tension and you almost subconsciously wanted him to leave the group?
Well, the thing is, every time he speaks or he opens up, it's always resisting. Mm-hmm. So for me as a spaceholder, it would be so much easier if he was not there.
Understand.
Right? Or for a part of me, the part of me that wants things to be easy.
For sure.
So there was this part of me that initially reacted in a way of, internally I noticed, it was like, oh, thank God, great, he's gone. And when I let that part pass, then came another wave, which was, no, I'm not going to leave your side. I'm not going to just let go of you.
Give up.
Yeah.
In a way.
I'm not going to give up on you. And it led to this conversation last night about, that we as men, it's a bigger conversation. It's about us as humans, but we as men need to find a way to be on each other's team. Mm-hmm. To say any man, even if I just meet him on the street, I'm on your team. And what does that mean? What does it mean to really be on each other's team? And as I say it, what comes up for me is everybody's talking about this thing about loving each other there's a distinction, I think. There's a distinction there. Being on your team doesn't mean, I'm not going to say what it is because this is what I want to explore, but I know what it's not is it's not that I just let you get away with your unconscious stuff. Right. I don't sit here and allow your bullshit and the way that you are destroying your own life. I don't let it go.
You don't allow your gremlin to take over.
And I don't allow your gremlin to rule your life.
Right.
This is how I'm on your team. It's not just, oh, you're perfect and everything about you is perfect. Yeah. It's not that, because it's somehow that I commit to what your being is committed to. Recognizing that you have other parts of you that unconsciously destroy the things that you want.
Yes. Can I can I kind of ask follow-up questions here, or
the discovery and what I want to explore here is how can we be on each other's what does this mean? What does being on each other's team really mean? Yeah. And how do we do this? And you and I, we're men, and there's a big conversation about men, but somehow it's bigger than this.
Yeah. What comes up for me is it's not with everyone would you have a similar response? I think it only happens because you had a commitment with that person or in the group to support each other, to help each other out. Only then it is it makes sense to kind of go that route, because you wouldn't do that with a stranger on the street, and right?
Well, okay, so so like we can start there. How do I find out, or how do I discover what being on someone's team is, even a stranger?
Okay.
And so it seems like the first step is to discover what is their being committed to?
Yes.
Right? I can walk up to a stranger on the street and start a conversation and discover,
right,
not by directly saying what are you committed to, because that is,
of course,
that
they might not even have the answer.
But
for
to
you.
listen to their commitment, right? I'm going to use some terminology here that's from the work that I do. They're just words that we use to have clarity and to understand the world. And one of them is, well, there's different kinds of listening, and I can tune my listening to do this kind of, it's called discovery listening, where I point my listening to listen for something specific. So it's pointed listening.
Yes.
Right? Where I say, I'm listening for commitment. What are you committed to? I'm focusing my attention on discovering that.
Yes.
Which is different from a field listening, which is like, I'm just listening to whatever's coming.
Totally understand, yeah. So you could either look at the entire spectrum of patterns of how you respond and what comes up, different things. That's great too, like to understand a bigger picture of a person. What you're focusing on is like a narrow band of their behavioral pattern that's specific, targeting the commitment to life.
Whatever, like, so the distinction is that, knowing the different parts that we all have within us, and pointing my attention to what is their being committed to, what is their adult self committed to, because there's a part of them that is committed to keeping everything the same. That's usually not the being, right? A being doesn't want to be comfortable and to stay in the same place. A being usually seeks to evolve, to transform, to expand, to be big and bright, and to be of service and serving something, right? So, what is that? Like, what is it that they're committed to serving in this world? This is like, it's almost beyond being. It's this archetypal force. Like, what is the archetypal force that's flowing through them?
Is it related to their essence? No, this is related to their dharma.
No. The words that I use is like an archetypal force. So there's you as a vehicle, and there's a flow of a force, this big force that when you open yourself properly, you clean yourself out, and it's like, imagine a tube, like there's a tube like this. So this piece I have it, and it means something, and it's placed up here for a reason, because there's this tube here that plugs me into a big force of nature that's bigger than me. And if this tube is full of shit, it's full of your resentments, and it's full of your projections, and it's full of your stories about how you're supposed to be, and your shoulds, and your then you cannot connect to this force. But when as you clean it out, this is doing the work, right? And from my perspective, doing the work about cleaning out your resentments, cleaning out your stories, going into your underworld and really cleaning this up. You open that tube, and all of a sudden now the universe can deliver to you what you're meant to do, right? So,
and that's what you're referring to, that commitment that you're looking for in people?
Yeah.
Because what I understood is more like, where have they decided to put all of their energy in this current situation that they're in, type thing?
Well, you have to start where you are.
Yeah.
So somehow the coincidental events in your life are trying to kick you into the flow of that force of nature, right? And because of all of the patterns you're resisting, the patterns within you, your constructs are resisting this going into the flow. So for a lot of people, the commitment might be to find my purpose. Yeah. Right?
It's unconscious. They're not often fully aware that that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Right? It's not. But this is everybody. I mean, when you ask anybody, what are you doing? It's like, I'm trying to. I want to find my purpose. Yeah. I want to find my purpose. Yes. And then there's another set of people who say, I know what my purpose is. But when you really look at it, it's like clear that something is dissonant.
Some, though, not all.
Not all, of course. There's some people that you see and you're like, oh my God, this person, they're doing it.
Yeah, so there's a spectrum from I have no idea what my purpose is, and I might not even consider or search for it. And the closer you get, some people are aware that there is such thing as purpose, and they're actively searching for it, and they don't know it yet. And there's some people who think that they already know what their purpose is, but they might still be somewhere like somewhat lost. And then there's some that know for sure what their purpose, and they're fully pursuing it.
Yeah, that last bit is rare, and I would say that this group that thinks they're doing it is almost like over here, because to have created a story that I am living my purpose when I'm really not is it's almost harder to work with.
I understand. You're saying it might not, on the spectrum, it might not be closer to the full, like the true purpose that's been pursued. It's an illusion of some sort that they're living.
Yeah. So I imagine a road, right? Like going towards your purpose is a road. The people who don't know, they don't know. It's like they're just stopped. Yeah. They're on. It's like they're on the path, but they're just here.
I think I know where you're going with it.
The people who are looking, they're like they're kind of inching. And they're trying kind of, and then there's people that are going. Yeah. And then the people who think they're like going this way, and it's like you have to do a whole thing to like figure out how to help them turn.
I think. When you say they're going this way, I think it's a very temporary process. It doesn't. They're always changing. Always changing. How close are they tuned to that road?
Well, at least they're moving.
Right.
Right, because this is a metaphor. It has its limitations. And on another dimension, it's all progress. It's always progress.
True.
Fine.
Yeah.
To come back to it. The people who are like, if I encounter somebody and I see that they are trying to find their purpose, but they don't know how. They don't know how, and they're just trying things like, okay, how do I get on your team? How do I get on your team? And the way I get on your team is I support you in cleaning the tube more, right? And this is not a fun, but fun by the standards of the way the word's used. We use a different word called high level fun, which high level fun means like the fun of removing layers, the fun of having a huge grieving process and a huge death process. Like that is high level fun, where the outcome is the tube is a little cleaner, and I'm more on that path. Yeah. Those definitions certainly have to be framed that it's not commonly understood that way. Yeah, I think. Yeah. So we have to go slow and also on another level define the words. But so I just had a call with someone that I'm working on this project, and she is really struggling with somebody else in the project that's the one leading the project, and this person is just really not, like, it's clear that her actions and her way is destructive to the teamwork, it's destructive to the flow. But I'm not talking to her, I'm talking to the woman that called me. Yeah. Right? So
completely different person in the same.
There's two people. One is the one who called me. The other one is the one who's leading, whose behaviors are really not working. Mm-hmm. So she calls me, and she calls me to, deliver her grievances about her to me. Which I can be a space for that. Yeah. And then what happens next is I don't let myself fall into the trap of like, you're right, no. Of course. What is this about you?
Right.
What do you need to clean up in order to get clear on yourself and take your initiatory steps to be able to be the guardian of your value, your energy. Mm-hmm. It's not about her. Mm-hmm. It's about you. That I'm speaking to you, and this is a huge trap that we fall into because it's very safe. Yeah. It's a very safe space to talk about someone who's not there.
For sure, yeah. I take a similar position. I like yours. Go straight into the source of it. I sometimes take another step of abstraction in a way, where I say everyone is doing their best, and if you're talking shit about that person, most they're certainly doing their best in their world. I'm trying to question then, or put them in a position like they're doing their best. There's something that you're missing here. Either something about them, there's some framework about how they look into the world, or maybe it's about you. Maybe you're looking into the world differently.
Yeah, you're talking. These memes, right? Of like everyone's doing their best. Mm. These are powerful because they help to reframe reality in a way that makes a different behavior or a different way of looking at things pretty obvious, right? It works. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I remember we had a number of dialogues and kind of debates around doing your best and interpreting it. There's a wrong interpretation of that as well.
Yeah. So exactly, it's be when you're using this meme, you get the opportunity to be mindful about how you're using it. So here's another example. So there's this person who loves to reframe the I have to do something to I get to do something. Mm-hmm. And it's always I get to. It's all I get to. Yeah. And I get it. It's like a totally different thing. Mm-hmm. And there's a shadow side to that. Mm-hmm. So every behavior, every meme, everything that we do has a shadow side. Right. And you get to be very, get to be mindful of it, because the shadow side of I get to is it's a very great way to numb yourself to.
It's hard. It's very easy for that shadow to hide in those like gray areas.
Yeah, because it seems so elevated. Right. And this is the spiritual ego, the spiritual shadow. Yeah. It's really sneaky. Mm-hmm. It's very sneaky because. Right. It's light, light, and we positive, and and this is more and more. I'm finding myself like cutting that cord I have with like things about spirituality, because it's like the objectivity goes away, and when I say objectivity, I mean the ability to see the entire spectrum of every behavior or every moment. There's the light side, there's also the shadow side. And to just attend to the light side, I get to, and sticking hard to this get to, and then everybody walking all over me because I say, I don't address the part of this, which is like, there are parts of me that don't want to do it. But I have to do these things because they are bigger than me.
Yes, and I think also we've touched on that before. I think it was also around this doing your best, but then of hiding and then not doing enough and kind of selling off like halfway and not really pushing yourself.
Yeah, it's a great excuse. I'm doing my best.
Yes, so this. Using it with caution and great awareness that it could be not of service for you. I recognize that I don't have moments where I've used this framework and it didn't serve me, not in a really long time. I've been using it in a very constructive, productive way where I don't feel bad for the events that happen to me ever, and I take events that I would like to avoid or to improve on into account in the future. I just, become aware of a certain situation and I say, I was doing my best in this moment, and area over here, I'm not fully satisfied how this came out. Let me address that in the next action.
Yeah, you're talking about somehow not letting yourself be dragged out of the present. That's what I heard. It's like you look at the past, what happened, and not let yourself get dragged over there, and stay here. Say, okay, that was that. It's the best I could do, and I'm not gonna let myself go back there and relive it and shame myself, and I'm not gonna let that, because the thing every philosophical, introspective practice has the same realization, obviously, because it's just looking at what's there, is that we're not one. There's not one I. There's not one Jeff. There's a collection. There's an ecosystem of different characters
that gets activated depending on where you are.
So we call them ego states. A state being, it's a state of being. So when I say I, ... I want, or I need, or I can't, or it's which I.
Right.
And this is really important because everybody's doing their best can be hijacked by the part of you that is not supposed to be driving the car. Right? That it can get, any of these things can get hijacked by, the child part that wants to be praised or avoid punishment, right? That wants to find somebody to do things for them. That wants to, that's a child. That's a child, right? And there's this inner child thing, right? And there's a lot of fear about stepping into this arena because it's such a big thing, the inner child.
Yeah.
And I think I need to take a step back and say that the where I come from, my origin point of where all of this is coming, is from a context of taking radical responsibility of really becoming an adult, going through an initiation to becoming a full, natural, a free and natural adult. And a free and natural adult, I think, is what people are pointing at as the inner child. It's this adult, fully formed human that has
fully
the ability,
engage in the moment,
that has the ability to play and make messes on a much larger scale than a child ever could. Why? Because an adult can clean up their own messes. So a child he makes little messes here and there. An adult can make a huge mess. I use the word mess in I'll give an example. So
because the question comes up: is it all about making a mess and cleaning it up?
Well, the thing is, if you want something different to happen, oftentimes you need to make a mess. Because if not, then everybody's still playing. There's the same character. They're still playing the same drama, and you need to destroy what is in order to make space for something else. How about that?
Right. The way I see it, you make a tiny little mess over here, learn from it. Make as small as possible, but optimizing for learning. Like you don't have to,
Yeah, this is a safe way. I'm talking about doing the unsafe thing, which is to say, this whole thing is not working, and to destroy. If you have a field of crops, and this season didn't work.
Understand.
You don't just keep trying to like revive the plant and make you cut it, you let it all fall, and you let it compost.
It's
and
rotten from the core of it.
Yeah,
so
you have to start over.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's say this is the holiday season.
That's actually the difference between our view on life and our upbringing, because that's not how I typically feel about the surrounding. Like, it's not about completely removing everything and starting from scratch.
Well, okay. So let me give an example, because I'm not saying remove everything. There's elements that will always stay. The soil is still there. It's you're not like pulling out this, ripping it all out. No, you cut down what's not working in a full slash, and you start again. So okay, holidays are coming. It's a great example. A lot of people that are practicing consciousness, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, they go home and they start to notice the ways that things are not really, that there's just a role playing and a drama going on, and nobody's actually creating any intimacy, and everyone's just like smiling and pretending. And you see this happening, once you get any level of clarity about what intimacy really is.
Right.
Okay, I see that. I go home and I see this, and I can just, try to talk to one person here and try to talk to one person there. I can, we're sitting at the dinner table with a family, and I say, this is ridiculous. Who are you? I don't even know who you are, who you people are. You're my family. I've known you. I've been with you my whole life. I don't know who you are. That's what I call making a huge mess, right? You just threw all, you threw all the Legos all over the table, and now you say, let's start over, right? Like, we constructed this Lego building, and it doesn't work. So I'm gonna knock the Lego. I'm gonna knock it down, in service, right? This is coming from my being. Yeah. Well, there's deeper levels. I'm not going to go there right now, but
sure.
This is coming from my being's desire to really connect with my family. Like, I really want to get to know who my parents are when they're not playing the role of parent. When they're just when I can, they can tell me about their life, about their struggles, about what didn't work for them when they were little, and
I understand,
and as long as we're playing this game, I just, it's like there's a play going on, and I turn on all the lights, and I say, okay, hold on, what? What's really going on here?
Right. I think that's a very useful way of improving the situation when it's gone too far. Like, when everyone is deeply asleep, you have to really shake them, type thing,
But this is, there's different scales of messes. Like, when I'm with a group of everybody's, really seeking this kind of thing, I don't really have to make such a mess. And, this is the thing. Here's the interesting thing. There's a Lego. We built this Lego structure, and it's not like it's supposed to be a house, but it's not sound. Like, it's not gonna stay up. Am I making a mess, or am I just restructuring the mess that was already made?
Right.
Because this is already a mess.
It's a ticking bomb.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's it's amazing, right? Because it's like I'm just pointing at
You're
what's already...
You're speeding up the process of healing.
Yeah. Well, time is a real thing. Like, it ticks forward, and it's not about the clock ticking forward. It's about the progression of this thing, right? It grows, it decays,
totally.
And there's a...
Yeah, this whole concept of time is sometimes, I feel like, misunderstood. People say there's no time. That's not a very useful approach when you're navigating 3D space. Because it's very useful to recognize that time is limited, and you need to move your ass. You can't be just sitting around and not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a farmer,
Yeah.
You have a direct relationship with time. Like
Right.
this thing is going to do its thing, and if you don't pull it at the right time,
That's right,
you're going to miss it.
Right.
And it's not real. Okay, fine. You don't get to eat. So how is it going to work?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned about farming and like the perception of time, the accuracy of it, because I recognize, both Monica and I recognize that our perception of time are very different. I'm much more precise with, especially in like a near future, like things plan around the 3D and time. Relationship between 3D coordination and time, I have it much better. Because I have spent decent amount of time farming and being on land and like doing stuff with parents. Even though it was forced on me, it trained my ability to sense the timing and like space and time.
So many things have been coming up that relate to this. So the first is somebody asked me if I celebrate holidays, and instead of just answering the question, instead of answering no, because I don't celebrate holidays,
Sure.
I thought, what do I celebrate?
Yeah.
And what I do celebrate, and what a lot of people that shift into this different world of spirituality, where I celebrate natural events.
Yeah, I saw your post
Yeah,
about
the
it
moon
today.
cycles, the equinoxes and solstices, the seasons, harvests. Like, I celebrate this because it is about connecting the spiritual with the material in order that we can to create a sacred experience of the connection with the material world. And when I say the material world, I mean the real material world, like plants and nature.
Yeah.
Because nature, the thing about nature is that there are these laws that govern nature that we cannot separate ourselves from. That we've been trying, humans have been trying in this, I wrote this thing, it's like this egoic attempt to create sovereignty from nature, which is it will not work. I mean, we are earth beings. We are born from the earth. We are the children of, Mother Earth.
Right. It's interesting that you don't recognize the even a slight significance of the domain of language where culture exists as well. And they often are directly tied to the physical domain and tied to the natural flow of the, so basically what I'm saying, maybe there is something within the cultural layer of existence that's worth celebrating and worth, you know what I mean?
No, but it somehow needs to tie back to the okay, I saw this post right about, okay, so everybody loves St. Patrick's Day. And, it's become about drinking alcohol and like pretending like you love Ireland. Yeah. It's a holiday, and this is from what I learned about it, and I can't directly confirm it, but just as an example, let's say that St. Patrick's Day is about celebrating this guy that went from Rome to Ireland to go destroy the remaining pagans or druids, the remaining people that prayed in connection with the earth. Like that their whole spiritual existence was about the connection to the earth. Yeah. Okay, so you're celebrating a holiday that's about extinguishing life, like life in connection to nature. Okay, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
However, when you look in the sky and the moon is full, that's real. Yep. I mean, it's real, and that full moon has a direct impact on the natural cycles of plants, of animals, of the tides.
Yeah, it's real, but and it's worth celebrating what you recognize as being real, because the other example with the Irish thing, it was also a real event, but people are disconnected from it now,
Well, yeah, but it's a real event, and there's this thing that it was back then, and we don't even know what it was about. And it wasn't about about the connection of it to a natural process.
Yeah.
It was, these druids, right? The pagans, the pre-Roman, pre-civilization people, all of their holidays were connected to celestial processes or earth processes. Like they celebrate harvest, they celebrate the way that the sun and the moon and the earth demonstrate the cycle of life.
Yeah.
And this creates a direct understanding of ourselves, because everything we see outside is represented also inside. Like everything we see in the way the planets move, in the way the earth has its cycles, the way we have our cycles. Like this. And to come back to that connection brings us back to our nature, and it's somehow connected to bringing us back to this archetypal force of like what we're committed to in this world.
Yeah, so I recognize that you're putting a lot of intention into basically, yes, healing, but the approach that you take is clearing so basically clearing as much as possible until the point where there's nothing else to clear. Even like, what do we celebrate? Clear all of the holidays and only choose the ones who really make sense, and we can go down to the source of when did it start, and then if that source still makes sense, then we keep it. Because the best way to resolve, not the best, but at least one of the ways to resolve a big problem that you have no control over, you don't know how to, like it's a big problem that you have no clue what to do with it, is to go back to what worked before.
Yeah, the first principles. Go back to the first principles. It's like when you strip everything away, what is left? And from there we can create a foundation, a solid foundation on which to build a life, a life of meaning, of connection, of purpose, of like a sacred life. And I've been so here the thing is, my friend gave me this book. It's called The Natural Order of Money. And you'd think, oh my God, with Jeff and money, like what? There's a part of me that didn't even want to read this thing.
Yeah.
But when I opened it, what I read was about how we can look at nature and the natural laws and the natural order in order to make this make sense and create a financial system that keeps people intimately connected back to nature, right? Because we've slowly and somehow deliberately tried to remove ourselves.
Yeah.
In this book he talks about this distinction between the real economy and the service economy. Real economy is, growing food, hunting, fishing, logging.
I understand,
right?
Yeah.
And so it's about food, fuel, and then minerals.
Right.
So minerals,
and bartering, assuming that it's only bartering.
But it's part of that, right? Because it's about economy. Economy is about bartering.
Well, the big distinction that you're trying to place is the real economy and the...
Oh, from the service. Well, the service economy is anything else. That's not about producing energy.
I think money exists on only service, because once you introduce money, that already means that it's that's not a physical thing.
Yeah, exactly. We can talk about that, but I just want to make a distinction. There's the real economy that's about producing what he calls energy embodiments. So food, fuel, these are energies that support doing other things. So the farmer extracts energy from the earth through the form of food. He consumes some of that energy that helps him to then create more, because he needs to sustain himself so that he can then produce more. And it's he produces more energy than he consumes.
Yeah, sure.
So fuel, the people who unearth fuel, and the people who unearth minerals. This is a little less makes a little less sense, but these minerals also propel energy and like transmit energy and all these things, but
more subtle layers, you're saying, of physical reality.
Yeah. I suppose. But the service economy produces no energy. It does not produce energy. It just creates these derivative economies, these derivative services and products, and the reason we know this is that if the real economy, if something happens in the real economy, the service economy comes second.
Sure.
It's by natural law, it will come second.
It still doesn't prove, though, that it doesn't generate new energy. So give me more reasons.
It may propel the energy somehow, or it may transform the energy somehow, but it does not create energy, because if you don't have you can't have those. If there's no food, everybody becomes a farmer.
Understand.
Like you got to drop your computer, you drop your phone, and you go and you start figuring out how to get food.
What do you think of this? I've introduced to you, I think, a number of times this concept of it's like layers of abstraction. So starting with atomic systems and atoms starting to form chemical, and so chemical bonds would not exist without underlying layer of another pattern, and then biology wouldn't exist without chemistry. But biology certainly creates more energy, like it creates more of something else than just the chemical reactions.
Well, there's no energy is created. It's just transformed. And the energy that we have access to is from the earth.
Well, solar, right?
Right. Okay, from the sun to the earth. But the thing is,
I understand what you're saying. Like in a solar system, there's no new energy being created.
It's a closed system. Yeah,
I understand.
We're in a closed system.
Yes.
So it's just transforming it all the time. But it's about taking it from its environment and plugging it into the human system, right? But the thing is, we've come to this place in history where we have this illusion that we can just get energy from somewhere else, from our own selves, that we can somehow separate ourselves and become sovereign and go on this other path that doesn't depend on the natural, unpredictable cycles of nature. So, the thing about the real economy is that it always maintains the humility of nature is really in charge. If I plant this thing and a hurricane comes, I cannot pretend like I have a weight of something I don't have.
Yes.
In the markets, they pretend and they foil and they play and whatever, right? So, but this is the problem, is that if in losing the humility of that there's a force that is greater, that is unpredictable, that we have to really respect.
Yes.
Then we become a very big problem for ourselves.
Only.
The earth will go on.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
we've also become a problem to species of animals, to the rivers, to the forests. But that's temporary. It will all fix itself.
Yes.
Once the cancer, the virus eliminates itself, because it very well may. And there's this really cool thing that I saw about the difference between us and other animals, is that we have somehow accessed an ability to decide whether to honor nature or not. Including our own nature, right? So coming back, we are the only ones who can live outside of our purpose, our real purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I think once the ego appeared, there are all kinds of new things that diverted from without questioning, just do what it
And I'm not saying that being a service economy person is a bad thing
Yeah.
or wrong. Yeah. I'm just saying, be really like...
Right. Make sure that it's creating, or it trickles down to the physical reality, that it's actually sustainable.
No, just make sure that you realize and remember that there's some way that you do not forget that there is a force that is really big and that you cannot supersede.
Right.
You know, you cannot supersede the force of this planet.
Right.
You know, okay, well, yeah, we get on a rocket ship and we go to the next one. Like, we'll see how that goes.
Right. I think so. I think that there's the whole notion of controlling nature, that ego have been in business of creating more control over unpredictability of nature.
Yeah.
And I think there's value in that. I think there's value in creating a sense of safety. Obviously, it's a fleeting thing, but I think you could certainly create a safe container in which, for long periods of time, you don't have to worry about a tiger attacking you or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not saying that, but I want to come back to the intention, which is how we can all get on the same team.
Yes.
Right, and so in some way this is connected, which is that to be on the same team, we must all be able to come back to this, to the connection to this natural force, the natural order.
Right.
That we as humans are all in relationship somehow, and we are all in relationship because we are all on this earth. We are all here, and we are also in relationship with the here, and we need to take care of it. We need to take care of it, and get on the same, not get on the same team, but realize that we are on the same team. That there is no way for us to actually be on different teams.
Yes.
It's not real.
I like this analogy of a spaceship where everyone is not
there's no passengers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when I do my spaces. I think I said this to you. It's like we are on a spaceship, and everybody has a job to do here in order for this spaceship to fly.
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard. I've heard it from the French astronaut who went into space, and that was the kind of the aha moment that he received when he looked at the Earth.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So we're all on. Yeah. Love that, because the distinction is an airplane where some people are flying and some people are just sitting there But that's it's slightly different because to really be on the same team, everybody has to pull their weight, do their job.
Yeah.
Because a spaceship cannot afford to have any extra
slackage
weight or
right.
any,
Yeah.
And so if someone's not pulling their weight on the spaceship, what do you do?
Right.
You say, hey,
you call them out.
We need you here. This matters, right? And some there's different avenues to try. One of them is reframe the reality such that the behavior becomes obvious.
Right.
Right. This is we are on one team. We are one thing.
Yeah, exactly. When you're on the same team playing soccer, if your teammate is doing something, or everyone is recognizing, or at least some of you recognizing that there's a better way of responding to a pass or something, you tell them. It's not like, I can't tell them. They're their own entity.
I don't go up to them and say, look, you're doing a great job, but it's just like, no, look, this thing is not like,
exactly.
Let's go, come on.
Right.
We've practiced this a million times. It's like we've been through lifetimes of this, right?
Yeah.
You've been through this enough times,
right.
To know okay, let's this time let's do it.
There is only one thing to keep it to be careful with, is your ego tricking you in some situations and saying you know better, and you have to tell others.
Well, this is another map, another version of reality that we use to make this make sense, which is you are the best at tricking yourself.
That's true.
Nobody knows you better than you.
Right.
And you...
AI will be probably better too.
Huh?
The AI will probably be even better.
Well, sure.
It will trick you to the core of you.
But so this is the thing, is that you are much better at giving me advice than you are at giving yourself advice. Like this is played out over and over again. Like everybody seems to recognize that they are really good at seeing what somebody else has to change and really bad at seeing what they have to change. Yeah. Unless their story has created that I know all my blind spots and I know everything that I need, which is a great tricking yourself thing. Yeah. So the way to get to what I want to become is that I need the feedback. Mm-hmm. I need it because that's a clear reflection. Yeah. There's much more clear than my own reflection of myself.
It's hard to see yourself without the mirror. It's hard to like understand how you look, and you know.
But the a lot of people think that self-reflection is the way.
Right.
And yeah, there's an element of that, but it's almost like the external mirrors give you the point you in the direction, and then your self-reflection can get you there.
I think the self-reflection is mirroring of different aspects of you. When you're reflecting of yourself, you're like
inner navigation,
right?
Like distinguishing my different parts and knowing, being able to recognize which is my child part, which is the part of me that wants to compete and make us separate myself from other people. Right. The part of me that we have this other part called the parent part, which is the one that thinks that it knows the way things should be or have to be, and it praises and punishes others and self. I'm doing such a great job. Yeah, it's like a parent part tending to the child part. Yeah, which is like there's this whole ecosystem, and the self-reflection is about learning this ecosystem. Right. So going back to the first thing I said, this man said he wanted to leave, and I could sense the part of me that said, "Oh, great." Mm-hmm. And then this other part of me stepped in and said, "No, I am on your team." Mm-hmm. And that is the part of me that I want in the driver's seat of my life. Totally. And that I want for every other person in this world, that they can discover the part of them that says, "No, I am on this team. I am on Team Earth."
Yes. And to what point will you persist to have, let's say, that person being on your team?
That's a good... Well, they are on my team. That's how I see it. Right. So last night in this conversation, the guy that I was talking to, the man I was talking to, said, "Okay, I want to try an extreme example." Mm-hmm. And he said, I hate Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. I hate him. And I don't know how I could get on the same team as him. Okay. So I said, "Okay, what do you hate about him?" "Well, he's narcissistic, and he is, I don't know."
Yeah, all of there's a lot of things.
A lot of things, and I said, "Okay. Yeah. In what ways are you narcissistic and this other thing?" And he stopped. He's like, "Oh my God, how could you do that?" And then there was a part of him that was going to try to step in and resist this question. Right. But he already has the inner navigation because we've been doing this for so long. He goes, "Oh my God," and he said, I don't know. Can you tell me? Yeah. Because so he has this. So I reflected back to him. You do it. You're narcissistic in this way. Yeah. And you in this way and this way. He goes, "Fuck, you're right." Mm-hmm. And what happened is now you and him are on the same team. Mm-hmm. Because he is a reflection of you. Mm-hmm.
He was only able to see this narcissistic qualities because he has them in him, and he is recognizing those qualities in Trump.
And we all have certain narcissistic qualities. We all have these different qualities because we are all on the same team. Mm-hmm. And now that now this, this archetype of Donald Trump became a mirror that helped him to see himself more clearly, and now they're on the same team.
Mm-hmm. And what does that? How does that change the relationship with him and Trump?
That he's not an evil over there person anymore. He's a human.
He's a human.
Like he is I am a human.
Yeah.
And now we can be on the same. It doesn't mean I have to agree or like this person, but now we're on the same team.
How does your behavior changes in situations where it's related to this person, let's say?
I mean, imagine what kind of different, what new, this is an extreme example of somebody over there that you'll maybe never talk to, or, but now let's say somebody brings up this person in a conversation, it no longer becomes a battle. Now there's space, right? Now there's the spaciousness to just be in connection and not create a situation where the person who's talking about this person is now on the other team. Now we can stay on the same team and we can explore. Just explore. Right? It's like I imagine sometimes two teams on opposite sides of the field, and it's like how do we walk to the other, like just walk to the same side of the field, and it's oftentimes just like to expose your strategies. Yeah. Because if I tell you what my strategies are, then we're not playing against each other anymore.
There usually, I think, would be a bridge, a person or a group that would start interacting with both, and then they would maybe start bringing everyone.
Yeah, I just want to say that that I had kind of a hidden purpose about talking about being on the same team, because oftentimes when we are talking, it feels like we're on different teams about technology and this. And in this conversation, we've been talking for I don't know how long, and not once have I experienced us on different teams.
Okay. I mean, it's certainly something about both of us.
Well, I'm saying I've not had the experience of the part of me trying to say no, or it's been amazing. So somehow just bringing up this topic has created an ecosystem for us to explore on the same team.
I've certainly recognized also the change that you've gone through around this idea of us taking two different sides. I mean, it is useful though to take different perspectives and bring them into the table and see what actually makes sense. And consider each one of them as valid at the beginning before you really deeply look into it. Because certainly before we would create a very how would you call them?
Yeah, just it's like like just opposing. Like kind of just two like a rugby thing of like a scrum, like I'm pushing this way, you're pushing that way, and we're just, and it's like and it's like this time it feels like we're both pushing in the same direction of
but also check this out, we haven't spoken about technology yet. That's part of it. It's not my perspective maybe have always been underneath the same as yours. My interest in technology that maybe you haven't considered, that, you know what I mean?
To go deeper into how are we on the same team.
Right.
Because whenever we argue, there's no truth. Whenever two people are arguing, there's no truth there. It's just opinions. Yeah. There's some, but then it's for me what and I've had this a long time, but I kind of put it on the shelf and I'm bringing it back in, and so there's the opportunity if there's an argument happening to say, okay, wait a second, why are we arguing? Like what's actually deeper than this? That is a first principle
argument. Yeah.
Well, that's a first principle that's not that's not
non-arguable.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
That,
right.
and then there we're getting closer to truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the best way to resolve any conflict is to start with where you agree, on the level on which both of you agree that you consider as, let's consider for this conversation as truth.
Well, it's not always so straightforward. Because, this example with Trump and this guy, it's like where we agree is that we actually both have these patterns, we're these shadow patterns, and being willing to go there, right? Being willing to go to, we're all not broken, but we all have our shit that we're working on, and this connects us.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like for us to do touch on some topics of the human future and whatever that might look.
Sure.
Either it including technology or not, just thinking about where we're heading.
Yeah.
What type of world would we like to create for humans?
Somehow I've completed that for me, which is that we figure out how to get on the same team, honor that we are on the same team, and whatever happens after that, I'm cool with it. Whatever happens, like if we got to a state somehow that every human honored that we are on the same team, not just with each other, but with everything on this planet. It's one team. Whatever happens after that, I'm a yes for it.
I think, isn't that the same idea of unity consciousness?
I suppose.
Basically.
Yeah.
Getting everyone on the same page and recognize they were one big organism.
Yeah, if this podcast got out to every person in the whole world and it landed somehow in every person, that would be amazing. That's the future that I want, and we need technology to do that.
Yeah, exactly. A conscious use of technology
in order to get this thing that has happened right now, to get it out to everybody. We're gonna need the technology to do that.
I'd like to so there's kind of unresolved, not fully resolved concept in my head around efficiency, around optimization, and how that's related to nature and technology. Usually those terms are very much related to automation technology and tools that we've been creating. But at the same time, I also see nature being very optimal thing that distributes energy very efficiently. So the word efficiency, I think, is never really used with nature. But I see myself like seeing that efficiency process happening in nature. How do you think about it? Like, how would you call nature efficient or optimized? And maybe let's find the distinction efficient and optimized.
I see nature as being what it is, and I don't know. I don't know.
That's one of the qualities.
It is a reference point against which we can measure a subjective version of these words that you're talking about, right? It's like the gold standard.
Yeah.
It's the gold standard. Is it efficient? Yes, because in this world, as a relative measure, it is the most of this thing that you call efficiency and optimized. Yeah. Because it is what we are in. So it is the most optimized and the most efficient because it is what we are in. So, my life has been about this barefoot awakening. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. And I love the way that I just come up with words. But the thing about being barefoot is that
you're channeling. Yeah.
The thing about being barefoot is that we were created, this body, the data that creates this body was created with an assumption. And that assumption is that we would always, or very often, more than not, be directly connected to the earth. And the earth is a battery. The Earth, I mean, it's a lot of things, but it's also a battery. There's the positive charge in the sky, in the atmosphere, and there's a negative charge on the Earth. And so...
Or underground.
Huh?
Or underground, I think.
Like, if you touch the Earth, if you touch the Earth, you're connecting to the negative pole of this battery. So every process that goes on in our body creates a positive charge. Digestion, wound healing, sickness, thinking they all create positive charge, an oxidation. So as the result of the chemical reactions in the body create a positive charge. Cool. If that positive charge is not neutralized, we get these inflammatory states like disease. We get disease.
And how do you neutralize it?
And how do you neutralize it?
Right.
Well, there's all the fads now of antioxidant, things. You got acai and blueberries and chocolate and red wine, but all these things are like little drops in the bucket.
Right.
But there's a simple way. You just plug into the Earth, plug into the battery, and you get a full supply of negative charge through your body. It's an electric charge. Electric charge doesn't require direct input. It can transfer through your skin. Right. Because your body, my body, human bodies, all animals were created with this assumption that we would be connected to the Earth. So it said, okay, how do we do this? And okay, so the chemical processes will create positive charge, and then it'll be neutralized. Okay. So makes sense. But then we've destroyed, the human beings have destroyed this sacred connection through rubber on the bottom of the shoes, elevated beds.
Well, it started with just forgetting that that's what it is. And
no, it's not about forgetting. I mean, yes, but it's like,
it just disregarded this whole thing.
It was this excitement. Like, rubber was created, how exciting, and then they put it under the shoes, and wow, this really does something, and it creates... it's funny that I'm saying this. It creates an efficient process for creating shoes.
An efficient process of creating shoes using rubber, you're saying?
But it destroyed the efficient process of being a human.
Right.
And this, I've shared this with you before, that like there's this masculine force that seeks efficiency in the unnatural. And somehow forgets the feminine part of the connection to the Earth, to Mother, that is the real source of the real source of efficiency. We talked about the example of pottery. That pottery was among all the other jobs in original cultures was the women's job, and the women knew that they could bring the wheel in, but they didn't, because it was a sacred process, and it was about connecting with the clay and with each other. And then when the men took over the pottery job, they said, we can do this faster, we can make more, and then we can trade it, and it'll be great. But efficiency at the cost of...
Right. Does that mean that all of the kind of those mental journeys that you would like to put yourself on, like let's use this new tools, and we don't know the consequences, so it's the path that we need to potentially explore and see if it makes sense.
It's like going out in the jungle and leaving, like having a rope tied to the edge of the jungle somehow, to like the edge of a tree, and going on the journey, but having this rope go with you, or leaving marks that remind you always of where you know. Okay, I'm gonna go on this exploration, but I cannot forget.
Right.
What is the
first principle?
What are the first principles?
Right. So basically, after the process of cleaning and going all the way to the base of the first principles, any new innovation, any new developments have to be coming from this assumption, not the assumption, but the memory of the
And that's
first
the
principle.
real origin of spirituality and religion, was to not ever forget. Never forget about natural laws. You know, in that documentary that Jonah Hill put out with his therapist, I don't know if you ended up watching it, Stutz.
That you shared?
I shared it, but it's on Netflix. It's a documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And he says there are 3 inescapable truths. One is uncertainty. The second is like that the work never ends. And uncertainty, I can't catch the third one, but what he's really pointing to is like, it's the 3 laws of being a farmer. It's unpredictable, it never ends.
Right.
And I can't remember the third one, but if you go back to it, you'll see it. And it's like, these are first principles.
Yeah.
Inescapable, unchanging.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it is to be a human on this planet. And you can build all of the synthetic structures to like keep yourself separate from this.
Yeah.
But you're never actually separate from this.
Yeah. Right. You're just like the channel is either blocked or distorted, and you're just harming yourself by creating those artificial. Anyway. Okay, so then how do we integrate information technology tools that we've so far developed? Do we destroy them all and start from scratch, from first principle?
It's not my field.
Right.
I would welcome a group of, technology thinkers to get together and put the first principles on the wall and then start the discussion. I don't know.
Right. And could it also be...
all these things come from silicone, right? They're all silicone based.
There are new ones that use light.
Light, silicone, copper, gold. They all earth materials.
Yeah.
And so this is from the earth.
Yes.
And how we use it is a different story. And I don't know. That's up to people
I think
in that domain.
the way to potentially approach it would have to be looking at both the past and the potential future that we consider being rooted in the first principle.
Yeah, just look at the first principles and really ask, and have a big bullshit detector, like a very sharp bullshit detector.
Right.
To really see if this is in alignment, and then start experiments.
I think there's value in creating to paint a picture of the future as far as we can see that's rooted in the first principle.
Well, one of the first principles, from my perspective, is that the only thing that exists is right now.
Okay.
So for me to go and project out into the future, it violates one of my first principles.
Well, the time, we talked about the usefulness of time in 3D, coordination and stuff.
Yeah, so all that exists is right now.
It is.
So for me to project out and go through this exercise would in itself violate one of those principles. So it's very enticing to do this exercise.
Yeah.
And
Right. Are you then saying the notion of coordination in time is not useful, or it's not worth looking into?
There is always somehow a value in planning.
Yeah.
But planning, it has to have like a purpose. And if I'm going to, you know, if I'm going to farm, I need to plan for that.
Yes.
If I'm going to build a house, I need to plan for that.
Totally.
This thing of like, what is the future going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like a solid enough intention
mm-hmm.
to like actually build something on, like for me to plan something on right now.
Yeah, I think depending on your dharma or depending on your purpose, you're more drawn to different aspects of reality. I find myself being drawn to the aspects of reality that's rooted in the future, and I get a lot of visions about the future, and I think it's just a quality of my path, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason, I mean, obviously, I'm bringing up those questions because I think about them a lot, and having someone who have your perspective, it would be insightful to, consider how do you see it, and either align with it or maybe challenge it, and then find the one that works that for both. That like find the again, like everyone brings stuff to the table and say like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? Because of this.
Yeah. I just want to say that right now, the experience I'm having is just this joy that we've recorded this whole thing, and it's felt really amazing. And you know, this my prayer is just that in the future that we come back to the reality that we are on the same team. Mm-hmm. and whatever happens from there happens. And I say it's a prayer because I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know. Like, if we can keep going in the other direction, which is where we've been going, where a few people are remembering.
Yeah.
You know, I love this word remembering, because it's like it's all we really have to do is remember we're on the same team, remember what we are, remember nature, remember the first principles. Yeah. Some of us are remembering, and some people are continuing on their path to try to somehow separate themselves from all of this, from nature. And
you're saying sometimes you not connecting yourself to the hope of the process, like hoping that it's going to be this way or that way.
It's a prayer. It's just a prayer. It's what I'd like, and what I see is a path to something different, something more efficient, more useful. Because all we have to do is align ourselves to the most efficient thing, and then everything downstream would resolve itself. Yeah. And I don't see it happening, and so
you don't see it's happening.
I don't
glimpses of it.
That's what I'm saying. There's like, but in a large scale, I just see more separation, more war, more fighting, more hunger, more destruction, more extraction of resources without a regenerative return.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, the other day, is that when I just allow myself to be with what is right now, there's just a lot of pain, there's a lot of sadness about seeing the way that this is happening, and there's a lot of anger about it too. That like, why is this so challenge? Why is this so difficult? And a lot of fear about, if we don't get our act together, we're not going to have any more of this. Yeah. And
is it also fear for humans to get extinct partially?
And and I was going to say, and also there's a lot of joy that, we're sitting here, we're having these conversations, that I have come to this from having the path that I went on for 28 years of living in the illusion of this separation, and that I somehow was like, thank God, thank all of this, that I had the opportunity to awaken. And it's not thank God as in, oh, now my life's great. It's like, thank God as in, now I see more clearly. Now I'm more awake. now I'm waking up. You know, it's
yeah.
And waking up is like, you know, if the house is on fire, you don't want to be asleep.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sleeping, but waking up is not a better alternative. It's not a more fun alternative. It's a
it's better though.
It's
certainly better.
You could say
From
pretty
the
objective.
perspective of a human. Dude, I'm like peeing my pants. Would you like to take a little break?
Yeah,
or
sure.
like, yeah.
I think we've really gone for it. It's 12:30.
It hasn't been even.